shattered lands, heroes rise, emerald warriors piercing skies, crushing foes, blood-soaked blades, legion born, never fades. Misfits gather, bonds of steel, vengeful hearts, furies feel, dragon slain, darkness torn, hope in shadows, legends born, emerald fury, rage and fire, defend the weak, slay the liar, no retreat, relentless force, legion roars, primal course, mystic realms, unbreakable chain, undying light, endless reign, souls ablaze, burning bright, conquer fear, embrace the fight. Mystic realms, unbreakable chain, undying light, endless reign, souls ablaze, burning bright, conquer fear, embrace the fight. Through the night, storms the light, heroic hearts, world inside, fierce and raw, endless rain, souls ablaze, burning bright, conquer fear, embrace the fight. Through the night, storms the light, heroic hearts, walls inside, fierce and raw, nails inside, fierce and raw, never yield, innocence saved, battle sealed. Epic quests, paths unknown, blood and sweat, seeds are sown, chill beneath, ruthless doom, Emerald Legion's final bloom.
Hey, welcome all you role players, you gamers, geeks, freaks, and everyone in between. Welcome back to another episode from Deacon's Table. This one is a little bit of a mixed emotion situation here as we are saying farewell to the storyline of the Emerald Legion. It's kind of been 4 years-ish and 4 seasons and a mix of about 12 different characters over that time period. So I'm just kind of inviting everybody to watch and tune in as we hang out, maybe share some memories, maybe talk about where we see the characters currently, what's going on, and we'll just kind of have fun with it and see where we go. And I'm going to try and host this the best I can. We are still waiting on one more player and she will join us momentarily because she actually did play 2 characters. That is in this, and so we'll bring her on as soon as she gets here. In the meantime, guys, Emerald Legion is part of the Deacon's Table storylines. There are several storylines going on. This is an ongoing player-developed and helped modular world. Oops, and 1 second, and we will add her to the stage. And if you want to be part of the community, please join our Discord. You can actually link up with on our link bio. Just click on just visit through the link bio /Deacon's Table. That'll take you to all of our social media links, and at the very top is the Discord link, so you can become part of the community. Just hang out with like-minded people who like role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, and all the rest of that stuff. And if you want to be part of the actual Foreverland experience, you can roll up a character. I can roll a character up for you. We can work on it together. I can even teach you how to play if necessary. It won't be the first time I've done so online. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to start introducing people on the screen that you see and who they are and who they have played in the course of the Emerald Legion. So let us start off, and keep in mind, guys, I have most of you muted except for Ren. But let's start off at the right next to me on the screen anyway, with Oswald or Jack, if you like. I'll call you.
Hey, Alice. I started off playing with, technically I started off playing with off stream with a different character in Deacon's game, but the first official one on the stream was Zach, our lovely goblin rogue, who sadly one day met his end at a ghost. and they became haunted pistols.
Yeah, we'll talk about that momentarily as well. I'm just going to actually bring up something a little extra, so that I can do this at the exact same time. We will do there we go.
What you doing?
What am I doing? Just so people know as we move on through the introductions. We can do this. And we do this. There we go. There's Zach. We can say hi to Zach. So that is who he is talking about. He started off with, and then of course he moved into the character of Oswald. But you're making this difficult. Why is it doing that to me?
Yes, my second Emerald Legion character, Oswald, son of Oslo.
Combat chicken.
Yes, also known as combat chicken.
Combat chicken.
And Oswald had a very strong belief in fighting, and managed to get all the way to the end of this campaign, and finally have a happy ending when he finally admitted his feelings for Samina.
There you go. There's that storyline. Next up, let's bring in, and I will make sure that you are. Oh, you're already unmuted. Let's bring in. This particular character is Passiflora. So we'll talk about who you are and what characters have you played in the Emerald Legion.
Well, since you have Passiflora up first, we'll go with her first. She's the most recent character I played in Emerald Legion. She kind of fell into being in Emerald Legion, and really, honestly, she really just wanted to find her own territory and ended up learning all kinds of new things. And now she's not really sure what she wants to do, but maybe something new. And then the other character I played was Bang, which is up now. And she was my goblin when we did the whole goblin party, or mostly goblin party, who she actually was more looking out for revenge for some of her past problems and thought that the Emerald Legion would give her the power she needed to do so. And tried to be a good goblin. It wasn't always perfect, and there was a few vendettas against Zach, but that happens, right?
Eventually, the vendetta ended up with Zach getting burnt to death by one of her fireballs, but that wasn't her fault.
No, that was not my fault.
No,
that was not my fault.
And of course, let's move over to someone that was in the skip past her. Here he is, the purple-haired Mox. We'll bring her in now. And who are you? And who did you play?
Hi, I'm Ines. I played Mox. Mox is literally my favorite character ever. She's a bit crazy. She has a passion for ghosts. She drugs people by accident. She likes to do meditation with people she shouldn't. She my bad, she almost kidnaps kids sometimes. She's just crazy, and I love her so much. She wants to save all the undead and all the ghosts. And she didn't expect to make some new friends, but she did. And find a family with the Emerald Legion. So yeah, that's my little goblin.
Nice. And let us go back up here. Screen sharing is terrible. And this guy, let's bring him on. And we'll talk about Ned. And Ned, who are you, and who have you played?
Oh God. Okay. I'm Garrett. I played Garrett all the time. My first character was Ned. He was a goblin. Your typical goblin barbarian, fighter. Gruff, didn't shave. He didn't care. He was cursing all the time. He drank. He was your typical goblin. He was an Echo Knight, so he had a little friend named Fred, who he could call up and things like that. I played several characters. I played a character in the Southern Expanse named Nakfin Tarot, who was a Turtle Storm Sorcerer. Who else did I play? Onyx. Onyx was a Minotaur, a grave cleric, a Minotaur. And then most recently Xerxes, who was my Zephrith bug. Xerxes is fun. He's a warlock, a bardlock. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He's mysterious and weird and nervous and anxious, but he's fun. And that's me.
And shoots eldritch blasts at people who touch him.
He does. He does do that.
And
It's a
let's
warlock
bring up
state.
our next up is our human, maybe. Let's bring in Serena. Serena, who are you, and who are you playing, and what is Serena? In case people out there watching the stream never figured it out.
I'm Lorelai, and I am playing our resident Selkie. For those of you who don't know what a Selkie is, she looks completely human until she gets wet in water and chooses to turn into a seal. We never came into a situation where she actually turned into a seal in front of the party, but considering that she's still hanging around in Mistwood and is with a certain verb, combat chicken, that may come up at some point about what she actually is.
Something about seafood breath. I don't know about that.
And the funniest thing is, the very first meal they ever had was fish. Yeah, he made her fish the very first day he met her. And the other
That's
one,
not awkward at all.
no, it was funny. It'll be fun. I am enjoying playing her. The other one I briefly played, guesting, was Tamia, our little mini goblin.
Yeah, she's still a character in Foreverland. You know, and that's all part of it.
She's
Just
still
like
really
some of the other characters that Garrett had mentioned that are still out there. They're still in Foreverland. They're still out and about doing their thing for the most part. And then we're going to bring in someone that was a guest on one of our last seasons, but came forward as a full-time character in this season, and that is Neater Thunder Eye was, I think, the first character brought in. And who are you, and who have you played?
Well, my name is Kiri Morning, and I played Neater, the lesbian Minotaur, as a guest when I was still living over in Hong Kong. And then I came on to Emerald Legion 4 to play Rin, just Rin, the Taishiro dancer. It was a class that Deacon and I sort of came up with together to emulate the dancer class from Final Fantasy XIV. And now I'm sort of one-shotting / Discord role-playing somebody very close to Rin, Zahira. So,
And we can get into some of those other characters as we go along.
And then, of course, I've played many, many, many characters the years ahead or before.
Oops. I'm just looking for someone we've missed here. Oh, there we go. Yuki.
So the first character I'm Rose, also known as Malta Starlight. The first character I've played with Deacon was Mabel, which was a human thief. And I think the only one ever on streams was, of course, our cleric of the Twilight, Yuki Lapis.
Yeah. So there we go. That's pretty much sums up the characters that we've had. We've missed out, unfortunately. That could not join us today was Shulza Mechbag, the orc leader of the Emerald Legion when the 4 recruits first came on. And of course, she was a monk from the Taishihiro Empire as well. So originally, and then of course being part of the Jade Forest and the city of Elderlock, which is where she made her home, and that's probably where she's still at for the most part, I'm sure. So I'm going to close this one out, and we're just going to kind of talk about a few things here that everybody's experienced. And I know this is kind of saying goodbye to Emerald Legion, but at the same time, there are other characters still ongoing in the game, and there's more to come. That's something that I want everybody to know, players and people watching as well. The Emerald Legion was just a storyline that had been played out, and unfortunately, I felt the need to kind of end that storyline where we did, and just kind of move on to something else. We did do a very limited stream of, I believe there was 10 episodes of Southern Expanse, which took place aboard a pirate ship, which is where some of the characters that have been mentioned before, the turtle type character and so on, were part of. There is a show coming up in this summer, early summer probably, Southern Expanse: The Return, which no longer takes part aboard the Tainted Heart vessel because the Tainted Heart was sunk, and everybody except for 4 characters perished on that. So characters that were on it before had the option to jump off at some point if they had done so. However, some, I believe, were discussed that probably would have been still on board the ship and perished along with it.
Like poor Whistler.
Like Whistler came to an end. And that's I gave all the characters a choice on where they wanted to go with that character, because that is the end result. After 5 years on that ship, it was sunk by a vessel from the Taishihiro Empire. So if they felt their character would have been the type that stayed aboard the ship, they perished. But if not, they could be off doing other things. So there's been a lot of fun in that regard. So going to kind of go around and start off with good question to ask is, why the first character that you came up with to play in, and just focusing on Emerald Legion now, not on all the other streams and the role play in the Discord, but why? For example, well, we are going to start off. I'm not going to even mention Neater Thunder Eye because technically that wasn't Rin's character. That was my character. She kind of stepped into. But so let's talk about Rin. We're going to bring you in first, and why you chose to, be what you are. Why Rin? What about the character? What is your concept behind it? What was your thought behind playing her?
Well, she's a cat girl, so there's that. But no, I wanted to, I used to play Final Fantasy 14 a lot, and I played the Makote, which are a cat-like race. It meant a lot to me. I did. It was kind of really important in my coming out and whatnot. And I've sort of, I don't want to say lost interest in it, but I've just been, I've been away from the game so long that getting back into it's a lot. I basically have to relearn all the mechanics and the whole storyline and blah blah blah, and I had played D&D for many years with you, and I just kind of wanted to bring the two of them together, which is why I came up with Rin. And one of my favorite jobs in Final Fantasy 14 was the dancer, which is kind of what we did with this class.
Yeah, the Tessin dancer, as we call them. So, and that's well, you know, and the character itself, I think, made quite an impact on the stream and on some of the other player characters for certain. I do. It's kind of strange how when you play, you don't really realize sometimes where bonds come from and where they form. And with that, I'm going to move over to the character that you actually did bond with in a way that maybe some people haven't realized. And that would be Xerxes. Yes, because I don't know if people realize this with Xerxes. There was a bit of a connection, especially when Rin disappeared through the gate.
Mhm.
That kind of was kind of different for you. But let's just talk about why Xerxes. What was drawing you to a character like Xerxes in the club?
I don't know. I think I wanted to play something different. I like the idea of playing like a bug character. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I wanted to play something fun. Xerxes. I'll be honest. I stole the name from Louis Carrasco.
It's okay. We all still
Yeah. It's I like the name Xerxes. It's that's a catchy name. Yeah, I don't know. He seemed very different. Zephyr are nobody was playing one, and so I thought, what the heck? I've got a couple of ideas for characters in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, I believe that when we first started talking about Xerxes, it was because the original, I mean, the D&D 5e ancestry is like a Thri-kreen, and
Yeah.
we have 74 ancestries in Foreverland, and a lot of them I don't want to take Wizards of the Coast ancestry and use it as my own. So we talked about this bug-like character that was going to be similar to a praying mantis, but not quite. Something a little bit different. And I think that's where I came up with the concept of doing the Zephyrith ancestry was because based on your interest in being a character like that. So which is kind of intriguing to kind of talk about or to learn about in that meantime. And so yeah, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, for sure.
And now let us bring in someone who we really haven't seen a lot these days. Let us bring up, of course, our good friend Mox, and tell us a little bit about the creation of Mox and the way you played her.
Yeah, I remember when you approached me at the beginning, you had like this idea of like 4 goblins that was like the base was there, but each of us had to like create a universe and like who they were. And I like being like original a little bit, and I was like, how can I make this cleric a bit I like playing crazy characters. So I was like, how can I make her the craziest possible? So and I remember at the time I was playing a little bit of Warhammer, and they have like this goblins faction that they're like in a cult or something, and I was like, I think this is gonna be the backstory. And so I decided that everyone in the cult died during like something went bad, and she was the only survivor. And I think you came up with the idea of the ghost friend that only her could see.
Yeah, because we
And
were talking about having something a little bit, I think, unique that
yeah.
would kind of set her
Mhm.
apart. So you kind of had
Mhm.
an invisible friend that
Yeah.
nobody saw, but you occasionally saw it, and you talked to it
Yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
So
And I don't know, I just like come up with like when something happens, I just come up with like it could be nice if I did that and I would just do it. Like, I want to make an angel in the mud. I will do it. I want to cook. I'll do it. Like, I have no restrictions, and I think that's why I like so much creating crazy characters, because anything you do can fit into their personality. So yeah, and she likes purples and rocks. She likes rocks. I remember.
And
Her
she's
conversation.
kind of evolved over time, and I know she
Yeah.
hasn't been with us for a while,
Mhm.
because again she was from the last series, and there's been 5 years that have gone by between
Yeah,
when little Mox was fairly young and
my
just getting
baby.
started on her way.
Yeah.
However, let's have a look see at Mox today. This is Mox, and where I have kind of landed Mox, just so we kind of know where she's at currently, is she is in the capital city of Beemore, which is near where she started, near the town of Lakeside. And she is the high priest or high priestess of Griva, who makes regular pilgrimages to the tower that is at on the edge of the sacred plateau, which is where the avatar of Griva actually resides. So, and she's one of the few people that actually gets access. So that's kind of where Griva kind of disappeared to, and where she's
Yeah.
or where Mox
She
has
still
disappeared
like rocks and
to. Rock.
goats and goats,
We'll,
and she
we'll get into
cooks
the
like
rocks. Actually, we'll get into a story of
cupcakes.
that at some point, I'm sure. So, let us at this point. We are going to talk about. Let's. I actually did I mute you? Oh no, I think you muted yourself at this point. So let us talk to Bang or Passiflora. And let us you pick the character. Who would you like to talk about at this point? About getting started and the concept behind it.
Well, I mean, when it came to Bang again, you had that pre-prepped idea, and I really love the idea of an entire party of goblins. They're going to be crazy because they're goblins. I loved the idea of them trying to be good guys, but they really don't know how. And I just love that concept. I also love that you gave us the freedom to not get along. I thought that was hysterical. I had so much fun with that.
Yeah, there were
And
some
yeah,
fights between the party
but
members.
so much.
There were some fights between party members here and there.
Yeah. But yeah, and when you gave us the ideas of the 4 different goblins, I went towards the wizard. And honestly, I really appreciated that you were so willing to be flexible with me, because you had originally already given it a name, and I personally wasn't comfortable with the name, so you let me change it to Bang. And then we actually built off of the name Bang of why is she called that. And her backstory was actually that she wanted to be this book-learned goblin, but her family got attacked, and they were a fireworks family, and everything went up in smoke and explosions, right? Well, because of the explosions, maybe that's the only way to fix things. Fine, I'll just explode everything that's in the problem. And that was where Bang came from. And that's why she's so fire happy, is because she's still got that vendetta. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Bang, I mean, Bang is still out there, practicing magic, doing her thing. And we'll get into a little bit about where we see your characters now beyond what I've kind of mentioned. But we did find out through some of the role play this season in the Discord, maybe not necessarily on the live stream, but the Bang went into a magic shop in Elderlock and received some extra training at one point. And she was teleported to a wonderful mystical tower of some kind. And we've got to find out where that tower is. It is the spire of falling stars in the Middlelands. And Lord Eldric is the caretaker of said tower. So we have figured that out. And if some of our current characters are actually there now, and maybe Bang is now. We'll talk about that as we figure that out and where everybody is. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. And let's talk about Yuki next. Yuki, where did the concept of Yuki come from? Like, why the lepus? Why the rabbit folk? You're muted though, just so you know.
So, I actually wanted to play a rabbit character for a while. I thought it'd be really cute and really fun. But I could never really find a campaign where it would kind of work in. So I thought, hey, this campaign said, and it probably would kind of work in for one thing.
6 misfits.
Why not, right? And the other thing was I had never played a cleric before, so I was like, it could be interesting. So kind of put the two concepts together into making Yuki.
And why timid? Like she was a very timid character, very quiet, soft spoken. Like, is that just how you pictured her to be? Was there like a reasoning behind it? That
I thought it'd be really, really cute because when I was younger, I actually had a shirt that had a bunny on it that would go like this, and it said the bunny made me do it. And the bunny just gets so shy, like. So I thought it'd be really funny to have this cute, shy little bunny.
yeah, other than
Shooting fireballs.
That kind of that whole concept, I can see it now. That kind of sums up Yuki in a way, even though you didn't, make anybody do anything. It was just that shyness, that naivete, type of thing, which was kind of interesting with Yuki as well. So, yeah, that was it's been kind of fun developing her as well. And of course, Yuki only joined us for this one particular season as well. And who knows what's going to happen in the future with other things. But we're going to go and let's bring up Lorelei. And Lorelei, talk to me about we're not going to talk about Tamia. Let's just talk to me about Serena and your concept behind the Selkie.
Well, I have always been in love with the lore of Selkies and mythology and all of that. So when I was trying to figure out a character, what I'm going to play, and I'm looking at all your ancestries, I immediately saw the Selkie and I fell in love. Because again, I have always been in love with Selkies and the fact that they can go from humans to seals, and there's all this lore behind it. And reading your description for it, I kind of went kind of literal with one, her name, and two, with the description, which you describe them as breathtaking and ethereal and very enthralling and charming. And I kind of just leaned really, really much into that. And knowing what the lore of an actual Selkie versus your lore for the Selkies, that led to a lot of hilarious moments that would have been even more hilarious had it been actual lore. But
yeah, well, we didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to see the seal half of Serena. We didn't really do any water based adventure this particular season.
Okay.
But it still was interesting, and you definitely played that enthralling, charming siren type character almost.
Yes.
In a lot of situations. So that was kind of interesting to watch.
There was something that she was brought up to be, and that did briefly get touched on in one episode. But it didn't really it hasn't fully come out yet what she actually was. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it based on just the trope of what it might actually be. So, which is why I made her a paladin. And I have experience playing paladins, but I've never played an Oath of Redemption. So I thought that would be rather fun to play her as.
Yeah, well,
And
she was an
excited to
interesting
see-
character for certain.
Oh yeah, I'm excited
Um,
to see where it goes. I did not see her falling in love with the ostrich at all.
Yeah, that was an odd one. It was an odd one. But speaking of the ostrich, because we really haven't heard from him yet, let's talk to Ace about. Well, let's talk to Ace about Zach. Actually, why Zach?
Well, as others have brought up, we were given basically just a blanket thing of goblin with, X class, a few things. In my case, I had a goblin that was a rogue that had pistols, and I went, okay, how do I work with this? And eventually, I went, would be really interesting if this little rogue goblin ended up actually being having this really tragic backstory where his entire family basically died because he made a deal with basically a mob boss in Lakeshore, and it ended up with everyone dying. Same mob boss, but that apparently killed his father when his father tried to become a good guy, which is now ironic because the instant Zach became a good guy, he gets killed by a ghost. As for Oswald was basically a hodgepodge of various ideas I had from my past. One of the things I came up with was, okay, we need to be not normal races. So I decided my eyes went on to the rat-type bird folk, and the first thing I thought about was actually a character from Mega Man X2 called Overdrive Ostrich. And as such, I decided to incorporate that. And then when I was coming up with the name, the only name that came up to my head was from Batman, the Penguin, named Oswald Cobblepot Pennyworth. And I took the first name and went, Oswald, son of Oslo.
So there you go. You never know. Well, where we get our inspiration when we're playing D&D, you never know, right? You got the bunny T-shirts, you got Batman, and any you can get your inspiration from anywhere really, for a character, like playing a character and bringing it to life, and that's something that I've encouraged. It was kind of funny because I did a TikTok earlier today about engaging using spellcraft. What the player's flexibility on how they use certain things and how they use a spell, because a spell is written a certain way. For example, Misty Step, Misty Step's usually used to get away, Misty Step out of there, but it can be used to step into rescue a fallen ally. It can be used to get into a room when you're stuck on the outside and your friends fighting on the inside. Misty Step can be used in a lot of different ways, and the creativity on how a player decides to take a given spell and go, hey, I'm going to do this, and we're going to try that. Because again, I mean, some DMs don't like that. Some DMs like to follow by certain codes and rules and so on. I'm one of those. I believe in the rule of cool. I won't bend or break the rules out per se, but I will allow a little bending here and there to make it fun and interesting. And if it just makes sense, it makes sense.
I don't know. I think we've broken the rules a few times.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we have. I mean, back in the day, when we started playing, that's a whole different stream. It's in itself. We should try and get your brother online at some point, and your dad.
Try to get him in the city for more than a weekend.
Yeah, try to get them together, and we'll do a live stream where we can talk about some of the good old days. Like, my name is Al Lubell. But anyway, yeah, that kind of thing. Does anybody have a story from Emerald Legion, any one of the seasons at any point, that they would like to share, with the audience. Does anybody have any? Yeah, Naomi.
So I've got a couple, but we'll start with the first one that really stands out to me, which was with all the goblins and really started the interaction between Bang and Zach. And that was, he was trying to win over the whole party because we were already just like, you're another goblin. Bleh. And no one
And
really
he was a criminal goblin to boot. Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I'll get gifts for everybody. That'll make it better, right? And then he tried to get dynamite from a store that would not normally carry dynamite and rolled bad and ended up with dynamite that was leaking and thought it was a good idea to throw it at Bang. Yay!
Yeah, that's when we blew up the front of the shop and got banned from the town, saying, "Get out! You can't be here anymore. We don't want you." Yeah, that was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, that was. And
anybody else have a moment
after him?
They want
I had been absent from D&D for several decades, and when you approached me to take over Neater for a while, that kind of sparked something that now is festering and boiling up. So,
yeah, I think there was. Back in the early beginnings of our friendship, this is of course pre-transition, and I think I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've never really talked about that I'm pretty sure you didn't know how some people might react to the situation, and I think a lot of people that know me from the past, because I mean it was not something we ever talked about and really discussed, coming to that point. But I've always been inclusive in my thoughts and in beliefs because, again, I identify as queer, and I mean a lot of people that know me in the past don't even they hear that now. I've actually had people on Facebook literally unfriend me the minute I said it. That take that off because I'm pansexual and I'm proud of that. It is what it is. And that's just the way it is. And I've always been accepting of Kiri as well. There was no, the thoughts of some people ask, well, do you ever think of her as, no, to me, almost like this is who Kiri is supposed to be. There was, Kiri is more what I thought when we first met, and you were, I don't know how old, maybe 15, 16.
I was about 16.
About 16. It's something that in the back of my mind that you meet somebody and you go, they're not themselves. You don't. Some people might say that's gaydar or stuff like that. No, that's nonsense. You can tell when someone's just not comfortable in their own skin. And it was just something that I've noticed. Maybe I was older as the DM of the group, and I kind of watched things go and the way things, and it didn't really surprise me when I found out where you are and that you're Kiri Morning and you are who you are, and it was just welcome back. It's been a long time and it's nice to have you back.
It was a good 20 years, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was. And we've got a lot of history of and the people around us in the gaming community. Yeah. I mean, I started off with that group was like 13 players, right? So it was a little bit insane. So but yeah, I know Serena, you gonna say, Lorelei, you've got a story you'd like to share?
Yes. It didn't happen to me personally, but I moved to Illinois, and it does deal with Emerald Legion, I promise. I moved to Illinois, and I had just moved in with Naomi when you guys started Emerald Legion. So I was around for the first season, listening to her and you guys by proxy. And one of my favorite moments to this day is about Mox. And it was Mox and Bang, and I'm a tree. And
oh my goodness!
I watched that. I watched it. That was funny.
Moments. And that in that moment, Mox.
We still have to make a T-shirt of that.
Yeah.
But you don't know this, Mox. But in that moment, I wanted to be in Emerald Legion so that I could interact with this wonderful, crazy goblin. And you actually were kind of an inspiration for Tamia in a way. For me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And nobody ever knew this because I never talked about it before. But you actually were, in a way, my inspiration for my crazy little mini goblin fairy. And all because you rolled a nat 20 with Bang and decided to play a tree. And
It worked.
that.
It's freaking worked.
It did.
Well, you did. That was the funny thing with Mox. I think Mox did a lot of strange things that were just no one else was thinking of. Well, I'm going to hide. Everybody else is hiding different places, and Mox is just like, well, I'm going to pretend I'm a tree, and rolled a nat 20 on a performance roll, and guess what? She came across as a tree to and got away with it. So that was a kind of a funny moment, and we'll get to Naomi. We'll get to you in a minute. I do want to. We'll stop with Jack. You've got a story you want to share from one of the characters that you've played.
Yep. This one involves Zach. This was way. I don't remember what season this was, but this was relatively early. I think this was, I believe, second season. Essentially, we had just had a situation where one of the people from the group that Zach was running away from had come across them, and Zach, fearing for his friends' lives, decided he was going to just go wander back to Lakeshore and take out his enemies by himself, so that they wouldn't suffer his problems for him. They ended up chasing him down, and meanwhile, he's apparently having a bit of a fight for his life against some kind of monster.
I think there was a lot of stories involving Zach that usually started with Zach running away and wandering off. That seemed to be like a common occurrence, jumping out of a window and taking off and doing it. So there was always those kind of moments as well. And Naomi, you wanted to share another story?
Well, I was actually going to kind of add to the tree thing. Have all these unique ideas and just off the wall ideas. I loved having her do that, and I absolutely loved that she allowed Bang to help her a lot of times, because it helped my character loosen up and just, you know what, let's have some fun with this. Where normally she'd be like, I must kill things, I must do this, I must take revenge. And so having that off the wall character, just it made Bang happy. She loved it. So I loved the interaction between the two of them.
Yeah,
I would have to say, I'll get to you in 1 second, Rose, as well. Just wanted to kind of say as well, Inez, that you are one person that I think the community really wishes would come back. Because out of all the characters, I mean, I've had inquiries on all the different characters that have been played, but Mox is still one of the fan favorite characters, just because of those moments that you would come up with and do something just outlandish, like sitting cross-legged in the middle of the road in front of a giant, meditating with him.
Yes.
Like who does
he
that?
gave us a lift. He gave us a lift after that.
I survived. So, it's just those moments. So yeah, Yuki, you wanted to share a story about something that happened?
I just wanted to bring up my two favorite moments that we had in the campaign we just finished.
Yep.
My first favorite was just Ren being a cat and just being like, I'm gonna knock everything off of the table. I thought that was so funny.
Right after he said, "Don't touch anything," I just went up and
don't touch anything. Right, because that just reminded me so much of what cats would do when we first moved here. My cat Sauce was kind of annoyed that we had just moved, and so he was up on the counter and he started to knock the lamp. I went, "Don't you dare!" And he looked at me, he looked at the lamp, and then knocked it off the table. And I was like, so that just reminded me so much of what cats would actually do.
And then when we were fighting at the one grove, and she went up and she was scratching with her feet.
Right, and the other moment I wanted to bring up, because it's still, I thought it was one of the funniest things, was also just picked up Yuki for no saying, "Can I do this?" or anything. And then the moment we got near the other characters, she went, "I've been bunny napped by the combat chicken."
And that caused her to start doing a new character reaction. Thump, 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 thump.
Angry bunny thumbs.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. The bunny thumping. It just kept bringing to mind like the Bambi scene with Thumper. I was all I kept thinking every time you said that. It was just like.
I don't know that Zach ever or the Oswald ever actually learned the no touchy rule. I mean, he got it like a little bit towards the end, but it never really sunk in.
I mean, he got his ass poisoned from it.
He did so many things that would make a normal person be like, "Okay, let's not do that again."
I didn't touch Passiflora again.
You did all the
it's
things.
just Passiflora. He learned with Passiflora, but not with everybody else. Let's just do it again.
It wasn't me. Like he was just, he just kept going.
Hey, I had to touch one person for the light hits. Come on, give me a break here.
I think the funny thing is a similarity between Zach, who was always wandering off, and Oswald, who was always rushing in and doing stupid shit. Just kind of made it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was constantly with Oswald. Like, you're in a spot. Oh, there's a portal there, and you don't really see what's on the other side, but you can see shadows.
I was going to bring this up,
and then I do it at the end.
Yeah, as soon as Wynn did, I was like, "We did good."
Oswald was just like, "Well, there's bad guys through the portal, and they're obviously making the portal stay open."
He lived by his own rules.
So,
how about you, Mox? Do you have any moments you want to bring up?
Oh my god, there's so many. I remember when Bang and we bought the goats. I remember when we
goats.
That was awesome. I remember when I went to do like some cooking and I took some mushrooms in the forest and I did cupcakes with them and then I drugged the enemy.
Yeah, you drugged the party with mushroom brownies.
Did I drug us or the enemy? I don't remember.
You drugged us.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I was watching that. You were just like, "I have cupcakes, everyone," and you done the entire party.
Yeah, I think at one point when I found the rocks and I would like have the collection and give them beds and have like I had feathers at one point and I would give them to anyone or like the little kid that I almost kidnapped by accident because I thought she looked cute.
Yeah.
You kidnapped somebody by accident.
It happened.
You had to be there.
I think we were like in a crowd and a child. Yeah, I think we were in a crowd and a child was like smiling at Mux and I was like trying to give her some stuff and try to have the kid as the pet.
You gave her candy.
She wanted a human child as a pet, and was offering it. It's like offering, "Here's some candy, little girl. Come with me." And it was just kind of like, "Oh boy, this is going wrong."
I know where this is going.
Then I get in the van. I'm not stupid.
Totally not evil goblins. You just kidnapping little girls and keeping them as pets.
I think throughout the 4 seasons, we've kind of touched on a lot of some sensitive subjects here and there. But we've kind of kept them in light and just made light of them, just brought them to the forefront and put things in perspective. I mean, we've touched on some violence issues, obviously, animal cruelty issues. We've kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, with Zach Pesto whipping the goats.
There was that, and then there was the gnolls and the horses that was a little bit upsetting in that particular scene. But again, it was played out in a manner that kind of made sense for the situation, and it was kept brief and then moved on from. And I think the players adjusted well to it for the most part. You wanted to add to that, Naomi?
Yeah, actually, so I really appreciate the way that you guys you run your stream and run your Discord, where we're not going to just hide that there are bad things in the world, right? We point out that there are bad things in the world, but instead of saying, oh, that's just something that's there, and oh well, we look at it like that's not a good thing. Here's the right way to deal with it. Or like if it's something like, say, how you were saying, you're queer, and Carrie is also in that group, and yet I'm a person that technically does not agree with it, but we're showing that we can still be friends. Just because I don't agree with what you agree with doesn't mean we can't be friends and be okay. You don't have to put somebody down just because you don't agree.
Yeah, you still can respect
the unity that we.
Yeah, I think we've always had a pretty healthy respect for one another playing the game.
Personally,
I'm related to Rose and Jack and Kiri, and I go back decades. And the rest of you, we've met via the Discord at various points. I know with Naomi and Garrett, I met you two first on
back in
Realmsmith, and that was back when Realmsmith was doing the Tides of Wildmount, and we had that in that community, and and I think that was when at the later part of that is when I met Inez. Inez had never played Dungeons and Dragons, so we got together and online, and we went on to D&D Beyond, and we created her first character, and that was history.
For somebody who's never played before, sorry, I got to cut in for a second. For somebody who's never played before, you played incredibly well.
Yes,
she did great.
Very, very, very good role playing.
You got a good memory, Xerxes?
I've got a ton, but I don't want to cut in yet. We'll come back around eventually. I just wanted to cut it.
He's right.
It was just really, really good role playing.
Yeah, you did really well, and I think it was the drama part of it, the fact that you were a very artistic and creative person, and you were a natural, and it was just the fact, the mechanics and the dice part of it. That's just whatever. That's just
you learn that.
That you can learn that and you move on. And then I think I met Lorelei through obviously through Naomi, and that was just how it went. And of course, Mercy I met through Realmsmith as well, but Mercy is now also Garrett's girlfriend. They have a long distance relationship, and they're making it work, which is fantastic. So I give more power to them, and it's nice to see two people that have kind of connected and found something with one another, and that's pretty awesome. So yes, Jack, you wanted to
adding on to the Mercy thing, but first I will say, for the conversation we had about that Bam brought up about accepting people. Personally, I always see it like this: I don't care what you are, I care about who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and as I said, it wasn't just about that. It's part of the rule we always had from the very beginning with Deacon's Table. We made that commitment of being inclusive for everybody.
It's a safe place.
As long as you weren't being an asshole,
Yep.
you were welcome. The minute you're being an asshole, you can be a bit of a jerk at times, and we can talk it out. But if you're continually going to be that way, then you're not welcome in the community because, again, it's just a toxic part of the environment. Because, again, when we're playing the game, we could be touching on some of those sensitive issues. Like I think this season, there was the racism part of it, which
Yeah, there was.
again, I mean, I don't agree with the fact that some people have whitewashed the system where there's no racism in the game at all.
like that at all.
It doesn't make sense because racism is a real thing. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean you accept it. It's just a real thing. And that we touched on that, I think, with the Gilded Accord, because they were all human. Anybody who was not human, they were not accepting, and they didn't want any part of. But that was why the whole premise of the season was to defeat the Gilded Accord.
Yeah, true.
And to kind of, and especially when it was the heart of it was 6 misfits that were literally the most, for the most part, unhuman that you could get. And they helped to take them down, and I think that was all part of it. So I'm going to start with Lorelei, because I know your hand was up first, and then we'll talk about that, Naomi, as well.
Touching on the racism thing, I went into this season knowing I was going to be the only human-looking individual in the group, and I was okay with that because, again, there are these 5 other weird races, and you have a human running with them. Why is there a human girl around a frog and a bug and a bunny and an ostrich? And she's just not batting an eye because, again, she's like, I'm not really human, but you just don't know it yet.
I think we kind of touched on that a lot in I think it was the second to last episode when you were questioning that Gilded Accord member, and he was very belittling to you because you were a human siding with them, with their kind, as he put it.
Then she hinted that she was not actually human.
Yep.
Yeah. He never got to find that out. But at the same time, he did get his. So, yes, Naomi.
So one of the things I really love about this season, about this situation, is that we did it in a balanced way, where we didn't go the opposite direction, where all of us were completely mishaps. Us 3 did not know she wasn't a human, and yet we treated her right. So we didn't go the opposite extreme of, because humans don't like us, well, then humans are bad in general. We didn't generalize it, and I appreciate that we still got along with the humans that actually did care. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think it was a little bit for you guys. I don't know if it was difficult or not. That I did paint the picture of the Middlelands. The Middlelands was a very traditional human folk, elvish folk, and little folk. So you got your hair feet and your dwarves, but that's primarily it. Anybody else was not necessarily looked down upon. But they were looked at with either curiosity because they didn't know what they were, or a little distrust at first because, again, you don't know the individual. And there were some that were looked down. I mean, the goblins that were being played and some of the orcs and stuff. I mean, there's definitely the stereotypical role-playing experience with when it comes to that, like elves don't get along with orcs and so on. It happens. Dwarves and orcs don't get along. Dwarves and giants don't get along. I kept that in the game, but at the same time allowed for people to kind of overcome that and become, make it an individual thing, not necessarily an overall thing. And there are nations that are racist. There are nations that have slaves. There are and so on. But that's just the reality of a fantasy world. It happens. It's there. That doesn't mean we're going to accept it and glorify it and make it a righteous thing. Like, regardless of the situation, as a DM, it was my responsibility to make sure that the bad guy, got punished. You know,
Exactly.
that's the way it should be. And I mean, I've seen DMs though take it another direction that may glorify those parts of it that shouldn't be. And you know, I think I don't know. I tried my best to kind of make sure it was maintained. So, yeah, you wanted to add one more thing there, Naomi, before I move on
Yeah,
to Jack?
I don't know if you guys realize this, but I purposely built Bang the way I did to where I could, if we ever got to it, you could see someone learning about racism. Because yes, she was trying to prove that goblins were not as bad as you think of, or at least not all of them, right? But she was actually battling with racism herself against the gnolls. And if we had gotten to a certain point, I was going to have to try to learn. That way you could see this growth of, hey, you know what?
Oh, we saw a little bit of that. I know that.
A little bit. I think that, well, for when the very first seasons with the goblins, the whole premise of the Emerald Legion was to bring in the fact these are misfits. These are people that the human-ish ancestries didn't look at with disdain, but they looked down upon, at least the very least. You know, goblins do. They're nasty little goblins. You know, but again, it was the Emerald Legion that was helping in certain areas and communities that balance that. And they realized that, you know, goblins aren't always the bad guys. They can be good guys too. And I think that was something that we made sure of, that when we did the beginning of Emerald Legion, it really developed into you guys were the inspiration to that, you know, for various communities and regions, and it sparked that, which has been kind of fun to explore a little bit. So you wanted to add something there, Jack, before we talk about
yes. To bring in the person who is not here right now, one moment I remember from Scholza was there was a moment where Zach decided that because Scholza told him that convinced him that he needed to be a better person, he decided that he was going to try to be a better person by being his dead brother.
Yeah, that was an odd role play moment where you thought everybody believed you were your dead brother, but pretty much the party had figured out that no, you're just Zach pretending to be your dead brother. But you just kept, and they let you run with it. You know, they let you think that you were, you're the dead brother, and they were buying this whole hook, line, and sinker.
Up until, and this is where the biggest change in Zach ever happened. Scholza eventually told him, "You do not have to be someone else. You are already good yourself."
Yeah, that was kind of a heartfelt moment, I think, for when that episode happened.
And then punched him.
Yeah, and then punched you. That usually was the reaction when it came to Scholza and Zach. It was a couple of words of kindness from the monk commander, and then punch. It's just the way it goes. Don't do that again, type of thing. So, I think what would be interesting is to know of where you see. We've talked a little bit about it. Like I've talked a little bit about where I kind of put Mox because she hasn't been playing, and it's been 5 years, so that she has kind of advanced 5 levels, and she's, a high priestess and so on. But where you each see your character now and moving forward, what do you see them doing or becoming? And because I did mention you first, Mox, let's talk about you're the high priest of the Temple of Griva in the capital city of Bmore. You make a pilgrimage twice a year to go through the town of Lakeside to the Tower of Griva, which is the home of Griva's actual avatar, and you're the only one that actually gets an audience. And you do that twice a year and back and forth. But with that in mind, where do you see Griva's Mox's development? Staying with the temple, moving on, expanding another temple, going off and adventuring a little bit more. Where do you think Mox's mindset would be at this point?
Oh my god, guys, I never thought about that. I think
I'm putting you on the
Mox,
spot.
yeah. I think Mox would think that Greva is like her BFF. That they are bonding twice a year. They're like having a moment. And I also think that Mox's biggest dream would be to have like a goat farm someday. She really developed her goat passion. Or sell rocks as well. That could be great. Give them names and dressing them up and selling
Goat
them.
farm
rock
and rock
garden around the
collection.
goat farm? That would
Yeah.
the rock garden around the goat farm?
Meditation. You know, she could have like baby goats and do like meditations with baby goats, and people would pay to do it. with
You know
her.
what you do is get big rocks and chisel them into goats, so you can have like a goat
You go
rock.
to meditation, like the sand. The sand,
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
Stonehenge with
and it's
goat.
all rocks. And
Yoga
Yeah,
goat.
yeah.
Stonehenge. Do, 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 do.
Yoga
That could be
goat.
great. She could also teach people how to be good trees. If anything happens, like how to
Nice.
fake being a tree.
I can see it now. This Wednesday at the temple, how to be a tree 101.
I was literally just thinking those exact words.
I think like she will literally like do that. Like people would know her as like the crazy girl like in the temple, and she would do like Friday nights with like crazy teams and like a cooking class, and everyone brings their own mushrooms and stuff like that. I don't know.
I
she would
could
vibe.
see that. I mean,
I would be
because again, I've been kind of developing the world's regions as you all know, and I did do Be More a little bit, version 1 anyway, and maybe version 2. I'll put in there the fact that Mox, being the high priestess, does these strange community events in the city.
Yeah.
Setting herself apart as a high priestess of Greva, who's normally not known for that kind of thing. The fact that you're giving classes on how to, how to pretend you're a tree, how
Yeah.
to talk to your rock, your favorite rock,
How to choose a good rock.
things like that.
Yes, how to
Goat
choose a-
meditation and so on. So yeah, I think I could put something like that in, and that would be kind of a lot of fun.
I love that.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that would be her.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool, actually. Gonna jump across to Garrett, actually, and I know Xerxes is still being played, technically, so we won't really talk about Xerxes. We've touched on where Ned sort of is and doing, but knowing what we know now about the outcome of the Emerald Legion and the fact that they've gone back to the Jade Forest, what is Ned doing now?
Here's the thing. Ned probably slept through the whole thing. He genuinely probably has no idea what's going on. I haven't. He's been sleeping in the Roaring Fox for like the last 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. So yeah, he's probably just
time to drunken stupor.
If he's been sleeping in the Roaring Fox, he would. I mean, obviously, he's getting up to eat and everything else, and there's been talk in the Roaring Fox about the war that had happened and so on, and the fact that the Emerald Legion has pulled out of the region and gone home. So he would have heard that kind of thing. But where would you see him going and doing? Like,
well, yeah, I don't know. He's very directionless right now. I think he would just wander for a bit. Until he finds a place that is right for him, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest.
And he's 5th level, right? So he's 10th level.
Yeah, it's 11th level.
11th level. Okay. So
that's what I mean. Like he's done everything that he wanted to do, and so where do you go
we
from
really
here?
haven't touched on any higher level.
Yeah, sure. That's what I mean.
One shot.
He doesn't know. He's wandering for now. He's
Okay.
figuring out what his next goal is. He hasn't quite figured that out yet. He'll get there.
Okay. And well, let's jump over. Let's just talk about. I can kind of already see where the direction of Bang, but where is Passiflora headed? What is she doing?
So honestly, right now she's almost in shock in a way, because she's realizing there's more to life than just fighting and defending your territory or finding your perfect territory, and the idea of just killing things and getting the joy out of it. And basically, I feel like she wants to kind of do a self-discovery journey, but she's not exactly sure how. She was told that there's a possibility of finding something in the forest that she's in right now. I think it was the Scarlet Grove, correct? And right now she's just trying to find a guide, honestly, of what would be the best thing for her. But I think she's going to try and reach out and try and learn something new.
And I'm just going to bring something up here because you mentioned, and other characters might be inclined to do the exact same thing here. I'm just going to try and bring up where it disappeared to. Here we go. Here we go. It's not there. Where did it go? And it's in here. There it is. There is, because as I mentioned, a lot of people are saying, well, okay, Emerald Legion's disappearing. What's coming up? Well, this particular thing is coming up, and we're going to share it for the first time on stream. This is coming up. This is the area that the sum of the party is still in from Emerald Legion, where we left it when the war was finished. They ended up they're in the Scarlet Grove, in the heart of the Scarlet Grove, with what has been known or now called the Prime Gate. They originally thought, and everybody thought, including the Gilded Accord, that this was an ancient gate to the Etherbloom, only to find out is a intergalactic gate portal, which is also a sentient being attached to it, and they basically freed that from the clutches of the Accord, although I think it did a lot of the damage to the Accord as well. But coming up is this particular concept where another entity attached to the Prime Gate will be a door will be appearing in that particular ruin stone covered grove where the Prime Gate is. A different door will appear, and it's going to be a dungeon crawl, but it is a dungeon crawl that is a sentient being of balance. So there will be great glory, experience, treasure. But again, it's a dungeon crawl. It's a room by room by room encounter, trap-based type scenario. Some of our players are actually involved in one of those now in another particular storyline. But this will be an ongoing weekly series that players can choose. It's you start at a first level character and you move up. So even your existing characters you have that are higher level, once we get to a spot where the people that are playing in it have advanced to different floors and different levels, your characters can take part in that. So and what happens is once you enter, the door closes, and at the end of the episode you have an option of leaving the stream. You don't have to. You can come back the following. It's going to be Saturday nights, so you can come back the following Saturday and play through another couple of rooms, or someone else could step in and play a couple rooms, and so on. And they just appear in the room that the next they go in. So that's the concept behind Into the Depths. Sorry. But again, that's focusing around that Prime Gate and what's there. So it gives some of the players and the characters that are either existent now or new players or new characters to just kind of go in and have some fun in another type of play style. Because again, dungeon crawls aren't for everybody, but they can be a lot of fun, and when you're doing them in the right settings. So that's all part of it. So we're going to go down now to talk about Rin. Rin is also kind of an ongoing character, so there's really no determining where they are. Well, I guess I could kind of show you where she is now, and we'll bring that into account. Let me. I'm just going to see if I can just share the played image. I don't know why it's not letting me do it, but yeah, it's kind of strange. So everybody can have a peek at what this is. This is where Rin is currently. That is the show that I talked about that is coming this summer. Southern Expanse, The Return. The storyline that where we have now, what happened to Rin. Rin ended up becoming bonded to the Prime Gate because of her chaotic nature. And the Prime Gate accepted her entrance into the actual gate itself, the portal, when we reached the final scene, and Rin disappeared. Rin reappeared 5 years in the past on the docks in the Taishihara Empire, boarding a pirate vessel known as the Tainted Heart, where she became part of the crew. And she was a pirate for 5 years until the Taishihara Empire caught up with her and the ship and sank the Tainted Heart. So she is one of the surviving 4 surviving crew that were aboard the ship. And now she is a little bit different. I don't know if I still have your character here somewhere. Let me see if I have the picture of her.
You want me to send it to you again?
No, I have it somewhere. I'm just trying to see where I put things. I lose stuff all the time, which drives me nuts.
You and me both. Don't worry about it.
Welcome to ADHD.
Okay, we'll do this one. And yeah, okay, now I know where it is now. Now it should be easier for me to find. Should be. Talking.
There you go.
Where did that go now? Dang it. Let's talk about Rin as she is now. So tell me, before we get into, we're not even going to really talk too much about the stream because you don't know what's going to happen. Where do you see Rin going at this point?
Well, from what I understand, she's lost her memory. She's got thrown back 5 years in the past, and then has become a pirate. So she's struggling to regain what she knows she lost, but she can't figure out what it is. So and she's become a little bit jaded.
Yeah, I think I see that, and for me as a DM, and just as the way I was playing the Prime Gate, it seems to be this persona or rendition of Rin is more akin to the real Rin. That chaotic nature, that free spirit, that playful yet very dangerous self. That's something that, again, is I think where I seen her going. So it should be interesting to see how that plays out. And now we've talked about Passiflora. We have talked about Ned. We talked about Mox. Yuki. What's Yuki going to be doing now?
So, with Yuki, I think she would probably want to stay with the rest of the group and continue kind of traveling if they are. Right. Essentially, where she was when we started was she had lost her original party for one reason or another. We never actually went into detail why. And she was looking for someone else to kind of join up with at that point. So if the group is going to continue together, she'll probably continue traveling with them. If they break up, then she'll probably end up traveling again with another group.
Yeah, I think with the group from the forest, I think Xerxes returned to town. Um, I believe I'm trying to remember who else came back. Passiflora, you returned to town. I believe. No, maybe you didn't.
I
No.
No,
did.
you did.
She stayed.
You stayed at the Grove. Oswald returned to town, and Serena returned to town. I know that. Now, you guys, these characters are basically in the game. They're 6th level. Most of our Discord community now is level 4, 5, and 6. So the one shots that we're now doing are based on 4, 5, and 6. So it gives those characters a chance to continue expanding their role play and where they can go. And a lot of our one shots are now, even though they are the one shots we do are mini adventures, are meant for random people from the Discord community to take part in the games. But at the same time, when certain members do certain things, there are 2-parters that happen all the time. We're going to be finding out. Well, there's actually I think the dungeons of Blackthorn Keep are a multi-part mini adventure with those particular 4 characters because it is a dungeon crawl. The one that you guys just went on, the Salt and Silence, that was an utter failure. For those that don't know the result of that town, the town of Shelbourne Cove is now a ghost town. There is one survivor in the entire town. The rest have gone missing under the waves somewhere, and the party is responsible for breaking a particular shrine attachment to the town that it was keeping it safe. So yeah, it was a complete failure, and that's why I have posted a few things in the Discord to kind of hint at that. Some townsfolk are blaming the party outright.
They keep ragging on Falnil for some reason.
Oh, don't worry. There's one coming up as well for Gaba, our friendly goblin waitress. There is. Ken's in the chat going, "My bad."
We love Gaba.
Oh, bad. It is what it is. It was just one of those things. The dice were not falling in his favor.
In anyone's favor in that one.
Or anyone's favor that adventure because
I had to dunce cap 2 dice.
The main target of that was a salt-bound siren who literally had no physical aggressive attacks. None. So she had an ability that did damage, but it was a wave that came over from the water and came over and pushed people back and did some damage. But other than that, it was all the charm and that kind of and fright and whatever else. So that kind of was the situation they found. Yes, Naomi.
I think though that you do allow and take into account for failure because it makes the world more realistic in the sense of, not to the point where, oh my word, it's horrible that we failed, but enough to be like, okay, now we have a new thing to deal with, right? And so I like having some realism, but not too much, if that makes sense.
Which I can't get too into this, but in the campaign I'm working on, if you fail, you might see a nation just get taken by Ithunia.
Yeah, well, and again, that's something that people watching and that may not know as from a storytelling perspective. When I create the world or regions, the world moves on with or without the characters. There is storylines, there is plots, there are things going on, there are nations at war, there are nations doing trade agreements, and all kinds of weird stuff going on. the rise and fall of mages and temples and so on, and religions. These things all happen in the world. The players just fit in there somewhere, and they make their own story alongside, or sometimes it alters the story of the world. In some cases, actually, in most cases, it does a little bit anyway. But that is, that's all part of the game. You have to to create those opportunities. And I've always said when I'm playing, it's role playing. It's, yes, you are, in a sense, you're just acting into a role, but there's also dice involved, and the dice are not always going to go in your favor. So you are going to lose sometimes. Your characters are going to die sometimes. It happens. You just it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be back in the original days of D&D, when you could go through, you would usually come to a game with a couple of characters in your book, because you could easily die halfway through a game and you just have to bring in another one.
Do you remember that one table? I think they were playing Rollmaster, and they would come with like a stack of characters, because they would go through 5 or 6 characters each every single session.
That was a very hard game. A very hard game.
That's not my stuff.
I was never that much of a player, but I remember too playing in games where you die and you don't have a backup character, so you literally took 10 minutes, grab the book or your friend's book beside you, and you'd be rushing through to try and quickly do up a character and get the DM to say, okay, you can play. And that was what it was all about, and that's what role. I think
that was what happened with my first character.
Probably.
This guy had an intelligence of 3.
Oh dear!
And we go into a dungeon. This is the first time I've ever played D&D, and I was playing Conan the Barbarian, my only male character. and he goes rushing in there with his intelligence of 3 and falls in a pit trap and dies.
Oh,
yep.
Shit!
Right at the very beginning of the adventure, I remember that.
Then I created Ariel, my longest running character. I think she's like a level 170 or something now.
Yeah, that's like my Shadragux character. That's like level one something or other, and just crazy. And he hangs out with gods in the Forgotten Realm. No crap. It's just this is the way it is. But yeah, and DMing those days was a little bit difficult, because when you get characters that actually did get that high, you're just like, now what? Like, what, you just get to a point where you retire the character and they just become part of the backstory. It's all you can do. You can't do that.
I didn't want to give her up, and we ended up going into Spelljammer, and we
that was different.
Decimated entire species in the spheres, because we were just so powerful. Like, we were killing gods left, right, and center, and then it was kind of like we just went off on tangents because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah, we did a lot of silly role play at the time.
Of course, it didn't help that we were like 36 hours into a game.
Oh my god!
Continuous.
Oh,
the marathon sessions,
pizza and Coke.
Yeah, the marathon sessions. You literally, when we said you had a role play weekend, you literally played nonstop
from Friday till Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
No sleep, just play.
Yep.
Those were the days.
How long was it? 52 hours?
Now.
I don't think I can do that anymore. But
no, God, not anymore. No.
So, yes, Naomi. Before I move on to Lorelai, because she hasn't had a chance to talk about her character yet. So,
to say with the powerful characters, I have actually gotten to be in one campaign where I really liked the way the DM dealt with a high-powered character. She would, like, you were kind of like you were saying how you retired and they're in the background. Where they're in this background situation where they're a demon lord or they're a deity or they're whatever they are, right? But the thing I liked about the way that the DM did it is now you have those NPCs that you either have to be friendly to or not friendly to, and depending on what happens, and so those were now part of the world, and the people, if the people were around that made the character, if she said pull them in, they would switch to that character talking to us and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, and I really liked that style.
It's a good way of doing it, for sure, for sure. I think, well, I mean, again, I mean, you guys, I think some of you guys in one of our games met the character Spider Braz from one of the taverns we have. He was the owner of the Diamond Spider Tavern, and the Diamond Spider Tavern was built by my character Shadragux, and Spider Braz is his son. So, you know, that was just kind of a different.
Well, you know, the thing with high level characters like that, when you do retire them and use them as NPCs, they have a living history, and they have, you know, people know who they are intrinsically because they were playing with them or as them. So the character becomes more real than just, you know, a bunch of sheets of paper that the DM has behind his screen.
Yes, I agree.
Precisely. So, Lorelei, where do you see, because you're back in Mistwood now with Oswald, where do you see Serena now and moving forward?
Honestly, I think she's probably going to stick around Mistwood for a while to see how that goes, and she's probably going to send letters back and forth to check on her colony at some point. I can see her going back there, at least for a visit, to see how they're doing. Probably introduce Oswald to the only people that she actually cares about. Make sure they're doing okay. They have their supplies. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what she's gonna do. Because again, she does have something kind of looming over her head that you and I have discussed. Yep. If that ever comes to light, that might be an interesting situation that pops up.
Well, the nice thing about your characters, your character, for example, you've got a backstory. And your characters all had some backstories. Some we kind of briefly touched on, some we really didn't. But now that we're not involved in the Emerald Legion, you're not linked to this particular storyline, it's easier for me now to pull one of you aside and say, okay, let's look at your backstory. Let's pull out one item from that backstory, for example, and I can literally tailor a one-shot, a mini adventure, based on that portion of your backstory. And then you, as the main character, would recruit 3 others to come with you on that particular part of your journey, and do kind of a one-shot explanation of that, or even a 2-part one. You know what I mean? A 2-part one-shot. So,
but I am looking forward to when Oswald finds out she's a seal. That's going to be absolutely hilarious.
And I'm sure I think that's probably going to happen on the Discord, though. It'll be so for people out there that are watching. If you want to see that take place, join our Discord community and watch the role play from there, and you'll see some interesting sparks fly, maybe. So yes, I know I see your red thing there, Jack. However, I'm not going to ask you what Oswald's going to be doing, because I'm pretty sure you're going to be sticking around Serena.
Right now, Oswald's home is next to Serena.
Yeah, mean kissy face and all the rest of that stuff. Let's just take a moment before we kind of move on and talk. And you wanted to add something though first.
I was actually going to talk about a different character though. What's going to happen with Zach?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's talk about where is Zach.
Well, right now, Zach is currently a ghost haunting a couple of pistols strapped to Schultz's side.
Let that sink in, guys, for a moment.
Yeah.
The annoying Zach is now possessing.
That's why she didn't show up tonight.
Zach is now possessing the 2 flintlock pistols that were his bread and butter, basically.
And unfortunately, since he's a little annoyed of being pulled away from his happy afterlife,
yes, because he's not able to actually control, even though he's a sentient weapon, or he's actually a pair of sentient weapons. Sholza has
personality.
control over him. But what he is able to do is the annoying chatting in her ear.
But
that he used to do
eventually,
with Sholza
I'd be
all
melting
the
down
time.
those pistols so fast.
but eventually, his plan is to basically just find a new person, a new host to dominate, and eventually find his way back to Lakeshore and and get his vengeance on the people back there, because now that he's stuck back on the mortal plane, he not only is he going to want to get revenge on them, but he's probably going to want to get revenge on his party, since he still has the mentality that the party kind of turned to backstab
So
him.
he's
What's
definitely
the,
becoming an evil spirit then.
Yep.
Yeah, because he will always be weapons. He's always going to be the flintlock pistols. That's never
Right.
going to change. So his goal is to somehow get Sholza to either lose them or give them away, and someone with a weaker will possess the pistols that he can dominate and get to do what he wants. So that's basically where all the characters are that really are, what the Emerald Legion was. I know for me, it has been an interesting 4 years, and watching the actual stream change and develop, sometimes failing a little bit and floundering, but for the most part coming back and doing all right. It's meant a lot for me, especially after the pandemic, to connect with people online at the time, because again, people weren't going out anywhere. We were online, and that's where we kind of met each other, or rekindled with each other, and that's, I've really appreciated that connection, that ability to connect, the ability to make friends with. Everybody here is always supportive of one another, regardless of what we're going through, in different degrees. It's not, it's nothing is like overpowering, and no one's, sitting there with their hand out for stuff or whatever. It's not like that. It's just we're supportive of one another. If you're having a tough time, we share the tough time, and sometimes we talk about it. Sometimes we just acknowledge it. And I think acknowledging it is part of, that's part of life and part of respecting one another. I was in a room this afternoon with some wonderful human beings that mean a lot to me. Charlie Angus, I know Garrett knows who he is, Mr. Elbows Up. I spent the afternoon in a pub with him, asking some questions and talking to him, but also there were some Indigenous leaders and elders from the community up here in North Bay as well. And we were talking very much about just accepting, who we are as people, and, acknowledging it, and just moving forward from that, and, developing the relationships. And it was a really wonderful experience for me to talk to and be able to talk to certain individuals. And it's nice because you guys know me, I used to go out all the time, into society, but I haven't been. I'm usually online now most of the time, locked in my room, in my quarters, and working on stuff like this. That's all I do. It's not all I used to do. I used to manage bands and be active in, charities as board of directors. And I did all that stuff for so long, and I kind of missed part of it. But at the same time, I couldn't do it without my friends here. To come back to, and I've appreciated the 4 years you guys have shared with me, and the stories that we've shared through the Emerald Legion, and through the other streams we've done. The bitter cold stream with being up north, because again we did, and I could probably pull that map up again at some point, and we can kind of look at some of the regions that are there on that map. And just see where we've explored and where we've talked about, and where we could possibly go from there, because there are complete areas that are just well, you guys have seen the map. There's a lot of empty space there, a lot of room to grow and expand and come up with things and new stories to be made and told. And some are already being made. I mean, we've got there's 2 regions right now represented in our players right now. Jack doing the Empire of Sunia, and then Serena and or Lorelei and Naomi doing the Seahorse Isles. And that's their isle, their areas that they're kind of working and expanding. And we have another person offline, Jenny, Luca Graycliff from the Discord community. She's got an entire region she's working on now. That's what Deacon's Table has really become about, where I've created this world map. I have certain areas that I have kind of pre-planned for myself, but everything else is modular. You want a part of it, take a part of it, make it your own, create the terrain and everything else and the story behind it and the kingdom, and just meld it into the overall arcing Foreverland, Oyala Andor, into the actual world itself. And that's what's made this so much fun, and I've been loving it. Coming up with the new ancestries, coming up with new character classes, coming up with the regions. And the religions. It's been a lot of fun, and I couldn't have done any of it without you guys. So, thank you for that. Appreciate it. So, just to kind of wrap things up a little bit, in closing, does anybody want to share something in closing for everybody, like for the group, for the players that are here, for the people that are watching that maybe have watched over the past year or two, or maybe even all 4? Anybody want to kind of add something to say their piece, shall we say?
I will say one last thing that I really appreciated you did. Coming from Rumble Smith and having like that first character that I played with you, which was a frog, believe it or not. You knew I missed that character. Yep. And I appreciate that you were willing to make it possible for me to play a new frog. And that's part of the reason I did make Passivore, was that idea of bringing back a goofy little frog that was poisonous. And yes, she's a different, but I appreciate being able to have another chance to play some similar type of character.
Well, again, as I said, we all take inspiration from different things in life, and you with that character, it allowed me to come up with the Moss Dancer ancestry for the Seahorse Isles, with it's the Foreverland version of the Grung. But I think for me, I think it's a better version. There's more options and things for you to do and become. So
you would say that. Confirmation.
I like it, and I think it's been played well, and I think it's fun, and that's what I want all the characters to be. I didn't want any of these ancestors
was such a fun character in all the dynamics.
The Grung have been very seriously neglected in with the Ghost. They made a little bit about him, and then that was it. And then you never heard anything more.
Anybody else wanted to say their piece? Yes, Lorelei.
I will say.
And I'll get to you, Inez.
I will say, if you've never played D&D, if you're worried about it, just jump in and try it. Don't be worried if you have autism. Don't be worried if you have ADHD. Don't be worried if you have something that you're worried about other people. Like if you have dyslexia, you can't read any of all of that. Just have an idea, go in with it, and find a table that works for you. I mean, it might be our table, it might be a different table. Because just because you have something that you're dealing with, and none of us look like we have something that we're dealing with, doesn't mean that we don't. Huh?
We're all dealing with something. Trust me.
We are all dealing with something, and a lot of us are dealing with some form of disability or acceptance or another thing that might be looked at a little weird, but we all come together, and like Deacon was saying earlier, we embrace our differences, even if they're wonky.
Well, and we also work together as a group to find ways to get it to work. Like say someone that's got dyslexia, I'm not dyslexic, but I do have a hard time reading. And Deacon actually took time to look into ways for me to be able to read the Discord better. Like that if you use your computer, there is a way to read the Discord, have the Discord read for you. Things like that. I appreciate that he takes the time to do stuff like that for those that do have things that are holding them back.
Just go for it and have fun. And that's
Exactly.
all.
It's all about. And Ed, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Emerald Legion is always going to hold a special place in my heart. I think it's like the first really big campaign that I ever did. It's the first character that I got so attached to it. I'm never going to forget Mox, even though like I don't play with her anymore, but like every time people are like, "Oh, you play Dungeons and Dragons," I only tell stories of like the Emerald Legion and like Mux and the crazy things that we all did together. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for allowing me to play with you, and I love you so much.
Me too. I love you guys.
We love you back. We love you back.
Yeah.
So
I
much
do wanna
love for this group.
Let me share something here if I can find again another image that I'm trying to find. But you know, I have so many difficulties doing so. Let's bring in this one and this one and this one, and I can't find it there. It's never where I want it.
Boulders.
Yeah, there's a picture that I'm looking for. But yeah, maybe I'll have to share it some other time. I just can't find it at the moment. But yeah, because Inez is also playing another character that she does have, and she's there. She's ready to play anytime she's able to, when she can find the time, and she's welcome back. She knows that. She's actually played in already one of our mini adventures, and as a witch. So a witch character, which is again, I think that's another character that's going to have some possibilities to definitely make her own, so to speak. So, yeah, you wanted to say something there, Jack?
Yeah, my final thoughts basically come down to this. There are a lot of people that are suffering from, any kind of mental trauma, have their own issues, and they might be thinking that, there's no more hope left in them. It's communities like this that have given people like Deacon, like Yuki, Bang, even me.
And me.
Yep. And Sarita. Even Rin, Mox, Garrett. Communities like this have given people hope that, they're not alone. And that's why we have our little section called Never Alone. Because if you need help, we are here to help you. We are here when you need it. As we know, recently we had a friend, Ken, who recently lost a loved one.
But we won't talk about other people that are.
I was just trying to use that.
I get it. I mean, but again, people have dealt through difficult situations, and yeah, we are here for each other, regardless of what it is. So, and pretty much, I think everybody in our community, but once you become part of the community, you realize that pretty quick.
Yeah, effectively, I'm just trying to say, don't give up on life, and don't give up on. Don't isolate yourself from the world. You do that, you're just going to end up bitter and alone. And it's just going to be the worst nightmare of your life.
And I've been in multiple different groups. I've had some people that said that they would help me and they didn't. They ended up leaving. And I will say this group has been around longer than any of the other groups I've ever been with. They have, no matter how many times I have broken down and cried and gotten upset, they've stuck around.
None of that. No crying. No tears. We don't need no tears. We're good.
I will say, as
deal with it. You know what I mean?
I will say, as a final thought, I do owe my life to somebody in this chat because they took a risk on a crazy individual, and I know for certain I would not be here if they had not made a very long trip to come take me out of a bad situation and into a good situation, all because I found them on Discord through RP. And if you're dealing with that, again, there is hope, like Zach says. And again, just
Yeah,
so
role
much
players are good people.
to this group.
Another thing
Role
that's
players.
really nice about role playing is that you can role play through a lot of the problems you have that you can't just fix in real life, because obviously it takes time to fix. But in role play, it goes faster. It's easier to fix because it's just a game. And sometimes being able to fix it like that makes it easier to slowly fix it in real life. So have hope.
Yeah, to expand on that, I mean, what we were talking about earlier, D&D was my escape to deal with, what I was going through all these years. And that all started with this guy right up here. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have made it to this point to beginning.
You shush. None of that.
I'm serious, It was allowing myself and being in a group that allowed me to be myself in that, whereas at school I was one of the misfits and, outcasts and all this. But when I got to that table, I was accepted for who I was and I could be who I wanted to be.
Not a misfit to us.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were able to take the Kiri and her brother and her dad, and even
we all
offline
played
we had a great friendship, and we went to cons. They were at my wedding. It was it's been a long time for that, and even their mom dated my brother for one night.
Did she really?
Yes.
I didn't know about that.
Yes, she went up. Remember Brian? She went out with Brian, and they did not. Oh well, because you know what he was like. He was a bit of a blunderhead. But
we're not even going to get into how our mother was.
We won't even talk about that. But we're talking about role playing. So, but yeah, that was a wonderful, interesting community. Even my brother used to play D&D with us at one point. He played a druid that had a brown bear companion named Ass. So bear ass. He'd go around. It was his brown bear ass. So yeah, I mean it goes to show that my brother has a sense of humor like mine. I mean, I had a bugbear character that was named Step and Fetch It. Yeah, we had all kinds of fun with that. I said I was going to bring up the map again, and I am going to do that. But at the same time, I am going to talk a little bit about coming up with some ideas for the Discord and sharing that with the community. I've always found it hard to advertise, to recruit, to bring people into the Discord, and in an interesting and fun way of wording it, because sometimes even as a DM, I can create all kinds of crazy stories and spend hours writing exactly the way I want something to sound. But for some reason, every time I sit down to try and say, how do I talk about what is Foreverland? Why should people come here? So it was kind of funny. We were talking about it today on the Discord, and the ideas that were just coming out sent me to the writing table to come up with what I did. And it says, Foreverland, Oyala Endor, is a living D&D 5e world where adventure never stops. You can dive into 24/7 roleplay on Discord, shape the world with your character, and join epic weekly one-shots or even full campaigns run by our team of 6 DMs via voice or video. Start in the chat, rise into live play, and help build the world. Your story begins here. Join us. And that's just the paragraph that I've come up with that said, you know what, this is what I'm going to put out there on our material to say, this is who we are. This is why you should come here and be part of the story, because there is a lot of story to tell. And oops, why am I doing that? As we bring in,
I'm sorry, Deacon. I really have to go.
Alrighty, Ness, thank you for joining us, and hopefully you can join us again soon.
Yes,
It was good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
All right, so we'll show the world again. This is the world map. This is what I mentioned to people about becoming part of the Discord, or if you're a player, taking a part of this world. Anything that's doesn't have a color around it is pretty much open terrain. It's open season for people to make something of it.
And there's a lot of terrain you could take, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. The line at the top is called the Eternal Frost. It's basically like the ice wall in Game of Thrones. The entire top of the world, there's no one knows what's beyond the ice. The bottom is the Southern Expanse, and that's the ocean region that is apparently endless. There's no one knows how far it goes or what lies beyond it, because no one's ever found out. For the longest time, that part of this map was completely empty. You didn't see the Ebon Trench on there. You didn't see the Maw of Storms. That's all been recently released because we have the upcoming game that's going to be taking part on the oceans and on the seas. So that'll all be part of it. We've mentioned a few different off Emerald Legion streams, and this was one of them. The Pierre Mariski Valley, and that was a stream that we did called The Bitter Cold, that involved some very interesting characters from a frozen north type of area. So again, this is just for people that want to create a story, for DMs that are out there that want to become part of the community and be to do a story that this area is not off limits. You can take the area and run with it. There is an entire document based on this region, so it gives you a starting point, and then people can take and run with that. And that's the same thing with our starting regions of Beemore and New Rendon. These areas, again, we've talked about Beemore, which is where Mox's character is. So obviously I'm going to have to do a 2.0 now for that region, because she's kind of developed where she wants her character to go. I know the town of Lakeside has been mentioned a few times. It's right there. So again, there'll be stories for that as well. This area has got 3 towers that I have an idea for, but I haven't done anything with it. So it's open game, open season for anybody who wants it. That wooded area. This area, Duchy of Josselana. This is it actually is an ongoing offline game. This is my family game, is in this region.
Oh, that's neat.
So that's again being developed through there. No one's touched on this at all. Or the Frostwood, which is some frost elves that are evil.
The ruined village of Rushi.
Orcs. Yeah, that's where Valmil is from. So again, these are all areas that are there. This area I never really named. It's there. So I don't know if people ever want to grab it and take it. Taishihiro, I've been just starting to work on that now. This is still in development, the Seahorse. Middlelands is pretty much finished development now. I'm on version 7 now, I think, of the document for it. And it's because, again, this is where we've been playing this season. That's where a lot of it's taken place. So, and of course, I might have to make a slight change, because what was called Tide Call, which is actually Shellborn. I don't know why it says that's the original name was Tide Call. It's possibly no more, so we don't know where that's going to go. So, haven't done anything with Alsafia yet. Might do something in the near future. I would like to do this area next, to be honest with you, the lands of Eshinar. But again, not sure where to go with that. I just finished this one. And again, that's based on Switzerland and Germany. That kind of terrain and hospitality and language, as you can probably see from some of the names that are on there. This will be developed by one of our players, and Jack will finish this at some point.
I'm getting close, actually.
So
I'll probably be done by summer.
So there's opportunity for players who want to DM, who want to try DMing for the very first time. There's an opportunity there for you to do so with help, and I'm not about to turn somebody loose on, my campaign world that's been worked on so far and just let you run crazy, especially if you've never done it before. Most people that I know of that have experienced DMing, I trust them enough to kind of go, they know what's what and so on. But if you've never done it before, I would love to work with you. Actually, one of the people in our stream right now, someone has said they're too scared to try to DM, but we've actually already talked about possibly making it a first run as one of our one shots. Because again, that can do no damage to the world, right? It's a one shot. It's a one shot adventure that people can play in and have fun with. And after your first session DMing, you get a pretty decent feedback from your players of how they did. If they had fun, you did a good job. If you had fun and they had fun, you did a great job. Yeah. That's the thing for me. Like, I create a one shot for the players. I don't always have fun with them.
I remember many times where you had everything planned out just so, and we flipped it on your head, and you were just trying so hard to get us to go where you wanted, and we were going off this way completely.
Yeah, you went off a different direction, and you had no choice at the time except to run with it, because that's what sandbox games were like, right? You just kind of go where the characters go, and I had at that time actually a lot of what's in this world, believe it or not, is the same world that we played in back then. I still have the binders and I still have the material. So I've been slowly adapting it into this world as I go, and piecing it where I want it to go properly this time, because again, back then it was a little bit different. You're, running with a storyline when literally all I had was the world and the books. The story was on the fly all the time. I'd have an outline, but I had to have it on the fly. Everybody would sit there and go, "Are you prepping for the game this week? Because it's such a big game and you have so many people." I'd be like, "No, I really don't have time to prep." So I'd show up at the club that we used to go to like 15 minutes early, half an hour early, and just kind of make some notes and went, "Okay, there we go. We're ready to go." As soon as everybody gets there, we're off and we're running. So
and you still managed to make it work.
Yeah, and just engaging in a storyline and making it entertaining for people. That's what it's really about.
Well, as the same idea is that I have the world. I've got it built out enough that if you go this way, here's a bunch of stuff over this way. If you go that way, that stuff over that way. What you hit, you hit. What you don't. And then I just follow what the players do. You know what I mean?
I've learned not to overplan, because overplanning doesn't really help you as a DM. But at the same time, it's not that I'm under planning either, because I'm over developing. So like when I do these regions and I release it, it's literally a complete region. Like any DM can grab that, go through the material that's there, and plug and play it anywhere they want.
Exactly.
And there's enough empty space or things that are unfulfilled that they can make their own. And that's what I wanted to do. Now, eventually, it will fill up as I role play it, but it'll be filled up according to the lore that we play. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I want DMs to be able to say, "Hey, I don't like the story of that town. Let's change it." Then do so. I mean, that's what it's all about. I just want to create an environment, a scene. I want to set the scene, like the director of a play. Set the scene for what the actors see and how they interact on it. I'm not even going to tell them how to do so. I'm just going to let them go. I'm going to let them improv it and find out what happens as they wander around this scene that I've created. and I do the same thing in the Discord in the daily scenes. When I do that, I'll just kind of post a scene, and if no one responds, no one responds. But if they do, great, gives them something to go on. So yeah, it's been a ride. I'm looking forward to Into the Depths, which again is that dungeon crawl. I've got to work out some of the details on how it'll work. I might make it open for all levels, and I'll just adjust accordingly as I go, which could be a little bit difficult, but it's doable. And I'm looking forward, of course, to Southern Expanse, because that's going to be hopefully a long-running campaign that I would like to run from level 1 to level 20. That is the concept goal of that particular live stream, and we'll see how that goes, and as long as people don't just end up in a TPK somewhere along the line, we should be good. So people will die in the Into the Depths. I can tell you that right now, because again, as a dungeon crawl, it's meant to be challenging, and the rewards will be worth it. So people that choose to take certain characters, you can choose the characters you're playing now to play, or you can do your own character for it, specifically for a dungeon crawl. That way you're not, you can become attached to it, but just, it might be one of those things that you take a character you've already got, you've been working on, and all of a sudden, 2 episodes into the dungeon crawl, you end up running face first into a gelatinous cube and you die. It could happen. So it's just one of those things you want to keep that in mind as the different styles of play. And then Garrett, I know you've got a game based on a purple worm. Purple worm, basically. That's again a lot of misunderstandings, I think, when it comes to that kind of character. It's the same cast of 4 characters.
Yep.
Each week you do up a different character that you want to play, and then
I'm toying with that idea. I'm still kind of working it around in my head. We'll see. I'm making some adjustments. I
think some people are a little bit can be put off by that concept.
Yeah, we'll talk.
I think if you're able to watch the series, to go and watch that D&D series, I think it's on Freevee, and
that's my thing, is that I don't want to do the same thing that they do, and so I'm coming up with a couple of ways to kind of make it more interesting. We'll see.
Yeah. I agree, and I think so people understand the concept of that is so when you're playing a character, that they're going to die.
Yep.
You can play the character the way they actually would behave.
I had a really good idea, actually.
Because sometimes when you're role playing, you think, well, my character should do this, but I don't want to do this because I might die.
Oh,
right. And that's something that a lot of role players have is, they're reluctant to perform an action because they're afraid their character could die or something bad will come of it. But if you know that the outcome, it just becomes the story.
I just came up with a really, really good idea, and I'll message you afterwards.
Yeah, we can talk about it. But that's the concept inside Faster Purple Worm. Yeah, you wanted to ask something, Lorelei?
Yes. I just wanted to say, and I'm pretty much we're all thinking it probably. But I just wanted to say thank you, Deacon, for allowing me to be on the stream and in the show. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Why wouldn't I? If I can be here on a live stream on Twitch and on YouTube, if I can now have over 140 or 150 followers on TikTok, for crying out loud, I'm a 54-year-old man, with his own disabilities, as I'm doing TikTok and I'm doing social media everywhere, all kinds of it. If I can do this, why wouldn't I allow anybody else an opportunity?
Deacon is good people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody who has tuned in. We actually had a pretty good viewership, watching our farewell stream. I think we got up to like 10 or 11 people at one point.
Hey, nice.
Which is, I mean, I know it's not the 100cc in some channels, but we got to start somewhere.
We also don't have $1 million budget like they do. So
yeah. And I'm not an expert at all this streaming stuff.
We're not professionals.
I'm fiddling my way around.
We can give fun to other people. That's
Yep.
Heck yeah. Yep.
Yeah, if a few moments of today of this episode brought a smile to your face, hearing of our tales and stories, then we did our part, and that's what it's all about. Because right now, I think everybody could use a smile, for a lot right now, for whatever reason, and again, I appreciate you guys so much for allowing me to be your DM, and I appreciate the love you showing back. So again, it's been a lot of that right now. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I have no plans on going anywhere. We still do the weekly mini adventures. We've got one coming up on Tuesday. It is part 2 of the Dungeon of Blackthorn Keep. So that's going to be, again, a lot of fun with our Dragonborn and our Gearforged character. And so it's going to be a lot of fun for that. And then we have a Discord event coming up on Sunday, which is about 2.5 hours long. It starts at 7 p.m. Text-based. So anybody that joins the Discord, I'll throw that up there right now again. I'm going to throw up the link bio. So you can go to the link bio. The top link is our Discord link. Join the Discord. If you have a character, right now we're doing levels 4, 5, and 6. So if you have a level 4, 5, and 6 character ready, you're good to play. If you don't and you'd like help creating one, we can help you create one. There's already some in the Discord that are pre-generated. And they are complete characters. Trust me, they've got everything. So if you want to do that, join the Discord, even just to watch playing, so you understand what we're talking about by Discord text-based roleplay. That's where it starts. That's the 24/7 roleplay. It's always available, and then we lead into the one-shots that are voice chat and video chat and the other things as well. So. Watch that. It's about 2.5 hours long. It's literally 5 minutes per segment per scene per se. Is the way I like to put it. 5 minutes per scene, and it proceeds until the end of the scene. And I'll give you a little hint. It does pertain to the Scarlet Grove. So yeah, a little bit of hint on that. So, but yeah. So I encourage everybody to please join us. All of our other socials as well are on the link bio page. Including our merch page where you can actually get a Combat Chicken t-shirt.
Yeah, I have one.
Combat Chicken!
There's a few other really interesting things on there. There's my Nat 1 energy series that I put out there. Just that whole vibe, Nat 1 vibe, which is a kind of an interesting series of t-shirt images and whatnot. So yeah, just check it out. Become part of our Ko-Fi membership or buy me a coffee. And again, that helps everything we're doing here. It helps our live streams. It helps buy yourself the books and the manuals. You can get most of them for free on the Discord, but you got to be on the Discord to do that. Otherwise, you just have to grab the actual professional looking PDF and download it from there. And the newest one is like 130 some odd pages. Just to warn you. I'm sorry, I was busy. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you guys for coming here and sharing your stories. And it kind of gave me some flashbacks and some good times. And many more good times to come with our future streams and what's to become of it. So for that now, guys, until next time, as I said, we will be doing a live stream on next Tuesday. Hope to see you then. But in the meantime, may all your rolls be critical, not just the 20, but also the 1, because that 1 can be just as much fun. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.